Hi. Yesterday I made Piroshki, and today I'm going to finish off the meat that I had, the filling that I had left over from yesterday. But in the meantime, I happened to find the video of my mother actually describing how to make Piroshki to me many years ago. So with that refresher course in my head, I have a couple of other points I could make here because I've kind of deviated from that approach over the years. What I noticed she did in order to stuff the Piroshki was a little different than what I did. I rolled out the dough and I cut it into rounds. And instead of doing that, what she did was she put the dough in a bowl like this. And it rose in the bowl that we used at the time. And we had another bowl filled with the filling. And then there was a third bowl that just had flour in it. And the technique that was used was you basically flour your hands first so that they're nice and dry, and then you pick up a little bowl full of dough, and you actually sprinkle a little bit more flour on that, and you kind of roll it softly into a ball. And this technique actually has an advantage that you can make much larger Piroshki than I was making before. And then you just take that in the palm of your hand, and you kind of press into it like this. And that gives you a lot of room to put quite a bit of this beef mixture in there. So we just stuffed this filled with beef. And like I said, this results in Piroshki that are typically a lot larger than I was showing you yesterday. And I got to tell you, one other advantage of this approach is that it makes a lot less of a mess in your kitchen. I have yet to see if there's any substantial difference in the cooked product. There is definitely a lot more dough and a lot more meat in these. But that's the way they look, and now that I'm reminded of that, I'm going to try this batch like that. So I just thought you might like to know that. Thank you. Well, I'm wrapping this up now, and I got to tell you that after doing it both ways, I can definitely see that this way has a couple of real advantages over the way I showed you yesterday. Although the Piroshki tend to be a lot larger, and I do like to have smaller Piroshki every once in a while, this technique here does have a lot more flour and texture, and it definitely, I would kind of remember that flour texture when you bite into the Piroshki. So I am going to go out on a limb here and say that this is definitely a more authentic way to prepare the Piroshki. I'm going to be taking the other stuff out of the oven, the last batch out of the oven in a moment, and we'll check that out. Thanks. All right, so this is what they look like with the alternate stuffing method. As you can see, they're quite a bit larger, and as a point of comparison, these are the ones that we made yesterday. I mean, these look like little squirts compared to these guys. I think they both have their place. I personally do like some small ones, but they're tough not to make them this large when you do it the new way. But this is pretty much how I remember them being sized when I was younger. So I'm still going to go ahead and recommend the new method of creating the Piroshki. Okay, well this time I actually have leftover dough. So might as well wrap this up by showing the cinnamon roll thing. Basically what I'm going to do is roll this out. So I'm going to spread some flour on a flat surface like this. Hopefully it's clean. And I'll just spread out some dough. Coat it with some flour. Actually, I might as well use all of it. And I'll take a rolling pin. And I'm going to spread this out so that it's even. Like this. And now it helps to have it slightly squarish, so I'll try to form it like that. Doesn't have to be too perfect. Okay, that's good. And now, my mother just put sugar and some cinnamon on this, but I have found that if that's all you do, these tend to be a little dry. So I have previously melted some butter. Ideally this would be sweet butter, not salted butter, but I don't have any sweet butter, so this is just fine. I'm using a basting brush, although that's not necessary. It just happens to be what I have. And I'm going to just spread some butter out on this thing. I find this buttering does help tremendously. So I'm just going to put some butter on that. Okay. And then sprinkle some sugar on that. I'm sure if I had brown sugar, I probably would mix some brown sugar in, but she just used normal sugar, so that's what we're doing here. Okay. And then some cinnamon. And I like the, it's called Thai cinnamon or Saigon cinnamon. It's a little bit spicier, stronger flavor cinnamon than normal cinnamon. That's what I like, but you can use any kind of cinnamon, and then just sprinkle that fairly evenly over the whole thing. And use more or less depending on your taste. I happen to love cinnamon, so I'm using more than I'm sure my mother would have ever used. And then you just carefully start at one end and try to roll it up evenly. And not terribly tight, but not terribly loose either, until you get a nice little roll-shaped thing out of it, like so. And now you've got that kind of shape, and just push it together a little bit. And then to avoid cutting up the table, I'll put it on the cutting board. Get a knife, and sometimes it helps to coat the knife with water, so I'm going to do that. If I was thinking ahead, I probably would have had a little bit of water here on the side so I could coat it, and then I just cut it into pieces like that. The first piece is going to be a little lopsided, but not this size. And then what I'll do is I'll put this in a pan. And one other thing is Candy pointed out to me, this is a great trick to get the shortening out of here, just a regular plastic bag, and that way your fingers don't get all greasy. I like that trick a lot, so I'm sharing it now. And I'll just continue doing that. And these just go right on the pan like that. And I'm going to put these all on the pan, and then I'm going to put them in the same 375 degree oven, and we'll have our cinnamon rolls. Thank you. Okay, I just pulled these out of the oven after baking them for about 15 minutes at 375, and that's what they look like. And I think that pretty much wraps it up really for good this time. So I hope that was enjoyable. Thanks for listening. Oh, and just one more thing.
That was easy.